Good morning, committee. Slight pause. Okay. Good morning, committee, and welcome to members of the public joining us today, both in person and online. This is the 20th of April 2023 meeting of the Western and Southern Area Planning Committee, which is one of the 3 area-based planning committees of the Dorset Council. Our area remit covers the previous Weymouth and Portland Borough Council and most of the previous West Dorset District Council areas. The Planning Committee is not a public meeting, but a meeting to which the public are invited. All attendees must comply with the ruling of the Chair. They must not interrupt the meeting or cause undue disturbance. To support this, please switch off your mobile phones or to silent mode for the duration of the meeting. Members of the public are allowed to record or film any part of the meeting. However, they should conform to the protocol for filming and audio recording of public council meetings and not distract the proceedings. Those filming should only focus upon those directly involved in the conduct of the meeting. The meeting is also being live streamed, and a copy of the recording will be available to view on the council website after the meeting. No fire alarm test is expected. If a fire alarm sounds, can all present leave the building as quickly as possible by way of the closest exit. Follow the directions to the nearest assembly point away from the civic offices. Public amenities can be located in the foyer of County Hall adjacent to the entrance. Members of the public who have given advance notice of their wish to speak on an application will be invited to address the committee for a maximum of 3 minutes. No material is to be circulated to members of the committee. For the benefit of the public, my name is Councillor David Shortell, Chairman of this Area Planning Committee, and my Vice Chairman is Councillor Bill Pipe. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, members and members of the public.
To introduce other members of the committee, Councillor Dave Bolwell. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning to you. Councillor Kelvin Clayton. Good morning, Kelvin.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning. Councillor Susan Cocking. Good morning, Susan. Good morning. Councillor Jean Dunseth. Good morning, Jean.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning to you. Councillor Nick Ireland. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning to you. Councillor Paul Kimber. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Chair.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah. Councillor Louis O'Leary. Good morning, Louis.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Councillor Kate Ware. Good morning, Kate. Delighted to see you here this morning. I hope you're well. Welcome back. Councillor Sarah Williams and Councillor John Worth. Good morning, John. Officers involved in the meeting include Anne Collins, Area Manager, Western and Southern Team, Laura Altery, Senior Lawyer Regulatory, morning, Katrina Trevitt, Development Management Leader, Charlotte Loveridge, Planning Officer, Elaine Tibble, Senior Democratic Services Officer, and Josh Kennedy, Democratic Services Apprentice. Good morning to you all. Good morning. May I advise the committee and members of the public that item 5A on the agenda, PFUL 2022-02899, Winter Green Barn, Higher Merhay Farm Access Road, Merhay, Dorset, DT8 3SB, the continued use of land for private residence or residential traveller site has been deferred for technical reasons and will not be determined at this committee. Apologies, item 1 on the agenda, to confirm any apologies for absence.
So we've received apologies from Councillor Williams.
Thank you for that. Declarations of interest. Item 2 on the agenda. Does any member have any declarations of pecuniary or other conflict of interest, bias or predetermination regarding any item on the agenda?
Councillor Bolwell, Chairman.
You can switch me on.
Yeah, because I'm speaking.
Oh, you haven't got one. I beg your pardon.
And Councillor Clayton.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Item 5B, this came before Bridport Town Council Planning, of which I'm Chair. I stayed in the room, did not take part in the debate or vote, so I'm looking at this one with an open mind, so I feel that I'm okay to continue to take part.
Likewise, Chair, except I wasn't chairing the meeting.
That's perfect in order for you to stay and continue with the discussion, with the debate. Are there any other declarations of interest?
No, Chairman.
Thank you. Item 3 on the agenda, minutes. To confirm the minutes of the meeting held on the 23rd of March 2023. Has all members received a copy of those minutes?
Yes, Chairman.
Thank you. If members are content, I will sign those minutes as a true record of what took place.
Happy, Chairman.
Thank you. Item 4 on the agenda, public participation. Only members of the public who have registered to speak on an application will be invited to address the committee. The order of speaking will normally be the first 3 in objection and the first 3 in support, including the applicant or agent. If a ward councillor who is not a member of the committee wishes to address the meeting, they will be allowed 3 minutes to do so. Neither the objectors or supporters will normally be questioned, except to clarify a point of fact by the chairman. All written statements received by Democratic Services has been passed to members prior to this meeting. Members, we now go on to item 5 on the agenda, planning applications. We have 3 planning applications before us today for consideration. A comfort break of 5 or 10 minutes will be taken as and when is requested. Item 5A on the agenda, application PFUL 2022-02899, Wintergreen Barn, Higher Muirhead Farm, Access Road, Muirhead, Dorset, DT8, 3SB. As already stated, this item has been deferred. Item 5B on the agenda, application number PFUL 2022-06301, 35 George Street, West Bay, Bridport, DT6 4EY. And that's to retain change of use from a shop to shop off license stroke bar. I now invite Charlotte Loveridge, the case officer, to introduce this item. Over to you, Charlotte.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. As already explained, this is application for 35 George Street in West Bay, DT6 4EY. This is to retain the change of use from a shop, which is use class E, to a mixed use of shop off licence and bar, which is a sui generis use. As it's to retain the use, obviously this change has already taken place. So this slide shows the site location, which is outlined in red here, which is just down as you come into West Bay on the B3157 from Bridport, and it's you take the right hand into George Street, and it's just on the right hand side. There are 2 other outlines in blue, which are also within the applicant's control, but they are not part of this application. It's just for the building outlined in red. This shows the aerial view of the site. It is a Grade 2 listed building. There's the Grade 2 listed Slader's Yard just on the other side of the road. There's Station Yard car park just to the east. And Haddon House Hotel just to the north, which is also Grade 2 listed building. Sorry. The land is within, it's Dorset Council freehold land, hence it coming to committee for consideration in line with the Constitution. The plan shows the purple shaded areas which are Dorset Council land, and obviously the application site is within that land. There's been various uses of the site since the early 1990s, for such things as kitchen studio, electronics and A1 retail. The current application is to retain the existing mixed use as a shop, off-licence and bar, which commenced 1st of February 2021. This picture shows looking southeast down George Street towards the junction with B3157, with Maritime House at the end there. So it's this little square building in the middle of the photo. George Street comprises a mix of both commercial, business and residential buildings of various scales, ranging from single-storey houses and flat-roof garage blocks to two-storey residential and commercial buildings, with a number of three-storey buildings as well. The next photo shows looking in the other direction towards the River Brit, which is at the end of the street, and then there's West Bay Holiday Park on the land rising up in the northeastern side. This is the side elevation of the building, which shows the ground floor shop window facing onto George Street with the old loading door above. The entrance door is just round the side on the northwestern elevation. This shows their A-board sign, which shows the services that they provide with the groceries and the off-licence. And this is the entrance door, which also has a notice saying, please respect our neighbours. These are views inside the bar, which is on the ground floor, which shows a freestanding bar, and there's a seating area with approximately 4 tables and 14 chairs for customers. There's a staircase just on the side there, which goes upstairs to a small grocery area. The scope of the application is solely for the change of use of this building, which is considered to have a minimal impact on the character and appearance of the area. There are no external alterations to the building. The wooden seating benches, table and chairs and portable chemical toilet that are out on the external are temporary movable structures which aren't fixed to the building, but they do not form part of this application anyway, as they're outside of the red line area and so are not being considered here. There is principal support for the scheme, which is provided by local plan policies SUS2, Econ 3 and Econ 4, which all seek to support small-scale business uses in appropriate locations. The scale, design, impact and character and appearance is, there's no resulting visual impact as it's only for the change of use, and there are no material operational development that's taken place. It's considered that the use of the building has an acceptable impact on neighbouring amenity. There are no complaints that have been received by ourselves or other departments that we're aware of. The impact on landscape and heritage assets, given that it's solely for the change of use, the wider character of the beauty of the A&B is protected in accordance with policy EMV1. The small-scale bar will bring overall benefits to the local economy in accordance with Econ 3 and Econ 4, and also with the Bridport Area Neighbourhood Plan Policy EE2. It's not considered that there's any impact or change to the existing provisions for access and parking, and it will not alter vehicular routes or parking in the vicinity. The site is located within flood zones 2 and 3, but is an area at low risk of surface water flooding and groundwater flooding. And a condition can be added for the submission of a flood evacuation plan to encompass the more vulnerable use of the ground floor as a bar area. The site also lies within the Chesil and Fleet nutrient catchment area, but does not include any residential accommodation and is not considered that it will increase recreational pressures on the area. Therefore, the recommendation is it's considered that having regard to the fact the application is just for a change of use only, there will be no harm to the designated heritage assets, and the setting in the conservation area will be preserved, as will the wider natural beauty of the Dorset AONB. The proposal will not create any significant harm to neighbouring residential amenity and highway safety, and the proposal is in accordance with policies of the local plan, neighbourhood plan and MPPF. Therefore, the recommendation is that the committee be minded to grant consent subject to conditions. The recommended conditions would be for approved plans, for a restriction for the building not to be used as a bar other than between the hours of 12 midday and 11 p.m. at night, for no live music to be played and no amplified music to be audible at nearby residential dwellings, and for the submission of a flood evacuation plan within 1 month of the decision. And that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Charlotte. Committee, are there any questions of a technical nature for the case officer?
No, Chairman.
Councillor Pipe. Okay, can I ask, is it normal, I know it's retrospective, but is it normal for a licensed premises to be granted a license without amenities available?
Well, the legislation for, you're talking about sort of the toilets. Yeah. That comes under separate legislation. That's environmental protection. So it would be for them to take any action over that if it were. There are public toilets nearby at Station Yard Car Park. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the planning application, it is just for the change of use and not for any additional facilities. Thank you.
I appreciate this particular application is change of use and has nothing to do with the amenities, but I thought I'd ask the question anyhow. No one of a technical question? No? In that case then. Before I open the debate, members, may I remind you to direct any questions or remarks through the chair, and I'll invite members to speak in turn. I also ask members to introduce themselves and speak directly into the microphones, which should be kept on mute while not speaking to preserve audio quality. I now open the debate to members, and I understand the first one to speak is Councillor Pike.
Thank you, Chairman. As this application has licence and approval, and it's been up and running for the best part of 2 years or more, I would like to move to the recommendation, please. Thank you.
You had your hand up first, so I'll take you as the seconder.
Happy to play second fiddle.
Your proposer?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, all right. If there's no more deliberation and members are content that they've heard the entire presentation and debate, I will now take a vote by show of hands. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you. That concludes this particular application. For the benefit of members of the public online, that was a unanimous decision by the committee. Okay, right, we'll now take item 5C on the agenda. Application number PFUL 2022-05320 and 05321 for Waterloo Place, Weymouth, DT4 7NX. And that's erect a single-storey rear extension. I now invite Katrina Trevor, the council officer, to introduce both these items. As she's doing both at the same time, but we will take separate votes on application 5C and 5D. So over to you, Katrina.
Thank you, Chairman. Sorry, a bit of a technical glitch there.
It's not on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Bear with us, Chair. The PowerPoint won't share. We're just going to send it to another screen so that it shares properly.
Committee and members of the public, I apologise for the delay. I think we're all ready to go now. So over to you, Katrina.
Oh, significant apologies for that glitch there. We're now ready to start. Yes. Pardon? Yeah. So basically, this is one presentation for two applications, actually, which is a full planning permission and listed building consent being sought for number 4 Waterloo Place, otherwise known as the Allendale Guest House in Weymouth, to erect a single-storey rear extension. This application's been brought to Planning Committee, given that it's actually within Dorset Council ownership. No objections have been raised. So the site location is in the to the rear of Brunswick Terrace, which faces onto the Esplanade and onto the beach in Weymouth. It's one of a number of Grade 2-star listed buildings within the terrace of Waterloo Place on the west side of the B3155. You can just see there an aerial shot of the application site outlined in red. And here's just a front elevation street scene photo of the existing guest house, although this proposal is solely to the rear. This outlines the heritage area that the application site is set. It is within the Weymouth Town Centre Conservation Area. The entire terrace is Grade 2-star listed. You've got other listed buildings marked with the little red stars that surround it. So it's a very, historic setting in which the application site is located. This site plan shows the proposed infill extension that the applicant is seeking to do between two wings or two rear outshots of the existing guest house. And here is a photo just to display to the committee the area being infilled basically over this rear kind of service area. And what they're actually seeking to do is to extend one of the ground floor bedrooms within the guest house. So it's literally just this walkway area here that's to be covered. This is an example actually of another neighbour within the terrace who's actually undertaken the same type of extension, just infilling between those two rear outshots. This is just a rear photo of the application site. It's just to display how discreet actually this proposal will be, given that it's only single storey. It's mostly going to be hidden behind this rear boundary treatment anyway. But just, it's just to give you an idea. This is the existing and proposed floor plan. So again, it's showing where that existing service area is on the ground floor, and then how that's to be extended into an enlarged bedroom 2 for the guest house here. External access is to remain. This is for fire safety purposes. So as the fire exit, given it's the only rear exit onto the rear courtyard garden area behind the property anyway. So that's to be retained. And there's also fire access retained for the existing sitting room, although that doesn't form part of the proposal. They're intending to put in a partition where that existing where the existing window is. So they're not, they're not trying to lose where that opening was. They're just seeking to partition it and give some privacy to bedroom 2. This is the existing and proposed elevations plan looking on this west elevation. So you can just see here a flat GRP roof to be extended over that service walkway area, and then a new timber external door put in once extended. So the key considerations are obviously impact and harm, although in this instance we consider there is no harm to the Weymouth Town Centre Conservation Area, the actual listed building, the impact on the setting of the rest of that terrace, which is Grade 2 star listed, and other non-designated and designated heritage assets that neighbour the property. We consider in terms of that no harm is raised. And actually that the conservation area is preserved. In terms of neighbouring amenity, under the full application, of which we would consider neighbouring amenity, given it's a very small infill extension, there is no wider impact to neighbouring amenity, and that's considered to be acceptable. Therefore, we're concluding no objections raised. The proposed development proposes no harm to those heritage assets, both designated and non-designated. There's no concerns in regards to neighbouring amenity, and therefore we're looking for the committee to grant planning permission and listed building consent for the reasons that I've already indicated. In terms of conditions, on both applications, we're seeking the 3-year time limit, plans list, the external door details to be submitted and agreed, roof light details to be submitted and agreed, construction details of the roof, and new rainwater goods to be cast iron painted black, obviously to preserve the special interests of the heritage asset. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Katrina. Okay, committee, are there any questions of a technical nature for the case officer, please?
Councillor Weller, Chairman, followed by Councillor Kimber.
Councillor Weller.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I don't have any objections. I just wonder, Katrina, if you could go back to the picture. Sorry, challenging you.
It's fine.
The picture that showed the internal, you said that they're keeping a partition. If you could just explain that to me a little, because it's not entirely clear to me.
So basically, at the moment, there's obviously the external window which looks over that walkway to the rear. That is effective.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Apologies, sorry. That's effectively to be blocked up, although they will, obviously it's a listed building, so we would seek to keep where the opening was, but they're just going to put a partition over that window opening. So obviously it does enclose the bedroom, and they don't have a window from the sitting room looking into them. Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Kimber.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Kimber. When you made the presentation, you showed us the buildings that are listed within the vicinity. I take a great interest in this area because I know when I first started many years ago in planning, I think we nearly bankrupted the council at the time over Brunswick Terrace. Can you tell me a little bit more about the listing? I would have thought almost every building along there had that Grade 2 listing. And I just wondered if you could explain that part. You gave a diagram of one with the red dots, just to refresh. And I just wondered why it wasn't more buildings or it was...
I'm sorry to make the point, but that doesn't really relate to the application that we're dealing with, and in terms of considering obviously the impact to that direct listed building and the terrace. The case officer actually is behind me, Toby, who actually considered this application. I can show you the plan with the dots on. However, oh, that's taken to yours. That's weird. Sorry. Bear with me a moment. Okay. Yeah. Bear with me a moment. Technically not going my way today. So there are a number of buildings, but what this plan doesn't actually show is, so there is a red star, but it doesn't actually detail the extent of where that listing extends. So every one of those buildings in that front terrace is listed, but the red star just delineates where the actual listing is placed, basically. But that's a group listing there. So unfortunately, the red stars don't actually indicate which ones are group listings and which ones are single buildings listed. So I can't actually clarify that today anyway. Okay.
Does that satisfy your question, Councillor Kimber? Yes. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Just a quick question. I noticed in your report that Historic England should seek, they should seek the view of a specialist conservative advisor. Has that been done?
Yes, we've sought the advice of the local conservation team, which is what their advice relates to, and no objections have been raised.
Hey, okay, well, in that case, then I open the debate to members. Anyone wishing to speak? Councillor O'Leary, you're up first.
Yeah, Chairman, I see no objection or reasonable ground for objection to this. So I'd like to propose that we accept this recommendation. I'm happy to propose both of those.
Thank you for that. We've got a proposal on the floor. Is there a seconder?
Seconder, Councillor Cocking, Chairman.
Councillor Cocking, do you wish to speak?
No, Chair, just happy to second this motion.
Okay.
Before you go on, do you want to take Councillor Wellow and Kimber before we go to the vote?
Okay, are you wishing to speak, Councillor? No. Councillor Kimber, do you wish to speak at all? Right, okay.
That's your lot.
Partly that's my lot. Okay. Fair enough. If there's no more deliberation, members are content that they have heard the entire presentation and debate. I will take a vote by show of hands on application number PFUL 2022-05320 only. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much indeed. Having heard previously the presentation by the case officer regarding PLBC 2022-05321, I now take a vote by show of hands. All those in favour? That is also unanimous. Thank you very much indeed. So we've now taken separate votes on both of those. Is that in line with your? That's fine. Okay. Okay, that concludes the planning applications as such. Item 6 on the agenda is urgent items. I've had no prior notification on any of the items of business which is considered to be urgent pursuant to section 100B, 4B of the Local Government Act 1972. And I'll take item 7 on the agenda, exempt business. I've had no prior notification of any items viewed as likely to disclose exempt information within the meaning of paragraph 3 of the Schedule 12A to the Local Government Act 1972 as amended. Thank you very much indeed, everyone. That was a very short meeting. Nice to see you all. Nice to see you, Kate, as well. Hope you're well. And,